Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan battle video. In this video we are going to be taking a look at some team builds, tips and tricks, and just a general rundown of the 42nd World Tournament. So the 42nd World Tournament started today. It wasn't really in the announcements, but if you saw the Belmer's Growth event, you should have pieced the two together. I did mention it a couple times. We have a new Tech Trunks, who's been added into the World Tournament summons list, and we also have a new Dokkan Awakening for the Strength Goku Black, along with another copy of the Strength General Tao. So we've got quite a lot of pretty good rewards. Obviously World Tournament based, always up for debate, but generally speaking some pretty good stuff. As always guys, there's a couple tips and tricks, things like Masters Marks, etc. I'll run through a whole bunch of them a bit later on in the video. Now of course, as always with the World Tournament, there's a couple staple things we just need to run through for new players and just to recap for everyone basically. So the World Tournament works in 4 stages: the prelim round, the quarterfinals, semi-finals, and the final. You will receive points based on the difficulty you take the event on. Those points will be used to accumulate rankings, both global and locally, locally being a group of selected players, and will also be used for completing your missions. The missions drop quite a few stones. The average World Tournament can net you over 50 stones, so it's very good that you're going to want to do the World Tournament, although it is quite grindy. In terms of the missions, the hardest one generally is to win 20 in a row, mainly due to the fact that people sometimes don't focus and then tend to kind of shoot themselves in the foot. So yeah, that is basically the whole premise of this. Yeah, and that is kind of the set basis of the World Tournament. There are always some special missions as well. So the special missions for this World Tournament, or the special categories that you're going to want to have included in your team, are units like Realm of the Gods and the Mastered Evolution challenges. These will net you some more Masters Marks, and so those Masters Marks are always going to be very, very valuable. You use Masters Marks to awaken both the World Tournament LRs and the World Tournament TURs, so you do need quite a few. The LRs take quite a lot as well, 77, so in general you do need quite a few Masters Marks. They do start to build up over time, but for new players, farming as many as you can is going to be imperative. And there are also daily missions for the amount of World Tournaments that you complete. In terms of the World Tournaments, there are also 2 ticket banners. One that features guaranteed SSRs. This shares the same tickets as another guaranteed SSR banner. So there's 2 guaranteed SSR banners to choose between. And then there's a second ticket type, which is the World Tournament only units. These units you can pick up with any tickets, so with the World Tournament tickets. So there's a new unit added in here, which is the Tech Shen. These units are always a bit more gimmicky and a bit stranger than other units, and some of them are still pretty good though, so don't be ashamed to summon on this banner. A lot of people have stored their tickets up. Me personally, I just summon on them, and I summon on the guaranteed World Tournament unit banners. I can pick up the rest from the general pool, but I do a video on which banner you should consider summoning between, so you don't need to panic too much about where or what or who or why. I will do a video on that. It's usually up on the second day of the World Tournament. So in terms of the team builds, I've got a couple of team builds as always. So I have a free-to-play team build. This is a completely free-to-play team designed with only units that you can get from events or farming or buying from the battle shop. So very, very straightforward. Your friend lead for all of these teams is going to be the LR Broly. So all these teams have been built in mind to take the LR Strength Broly, which is still, I think to this day, the #1 friend lead and unit for a World Tournament. So in terms of the free play team build, we have some pretty good AoE, second form Frieza, Krillin, etc. All of them pretty nice. Raditz also really, really good. I've then got some extreme extreme support here in the form of Android 17 and 18, just to provide key to the rest of the rotation. Now I've got here the Tech Cooler, but he's just a placeholder for any kind of support. Tekula does support second form Frieza, which I think overall is the unit that needs the support the most. He also supports physical Ginyu, but you can replace this unit with any. If I can suggest any, I would suggest the new tech Easy Aid a la Captain Ginyu, because he provides an unconditional support that can be helpful for Krillin as well. Obviously, we then move on to the Summon 1 team. This is a super variant team, a pretty good team. So for a lot of these now summonable teams, number 1 pick is going to be Jocko. Jocko is a good pick, the SR Tech Jocko, because he has guaranteed stun whenever he enters the battlefield, so it saves you a lot of items. Number 1 new super pick is going to be the Strength Piccolo. I've always liked him in teams, but now with his EZA, he really is a top-notch unit. In fact, I would go so far as to say he's probably the second best World Tournament unit in the game. He has a guaranteed crit, basically, whenever he's facing 2 or more enemies. So, or for the first turn, which should enable him to pretty much one-shot the opposition every time. Then we have my second summonable team. This one's a bit more pure Saiyans orientated. This team I really like using the physical transforming Vegeta as a lead, and the reason being is he is a pure Saiyans and a super class lead. So not only can you include some really good units in this team, like Turles, like Raditz, which are obviously, you know, great summonable and great free-to-play units, but you can even incorporate that Strength Piccolo that I liked in the other team. So for example, if you don't have Majin Vegeta, who's obviously a unit I find enjoyable to run, but he can be difficult with key management, you can replace him with the Strength Piccolo and you should have a pretty decent time. And then finally, the best team. Best is subjective. This is just my go-to team, mainly because I have 2 LR strength Broly's. That's basically what it is. The physical Broly also carries some decent payload as well. His leader skill is really good. It's 170% lead. It's very important to understand that your friend lead will not count for World Tournament, so you're going to really want to make sure that all your units fit under your first lead. The second lead does not count, and you need your friend lead to also fit under your leader skills. So it's very important, and attacking all is the number 1 priority. Now in terms of support items, I like to go with my stock standard World Tournament items, those being Ghost Usher, Baba, Emperor Pilaf, and a King Yemma. Usually I'll use a Baba or a Emperor Pilaf in conjunction with the King Yemma. It means that the enemy can't super attack me and it reduces their normal damage, and Ghost Usher will just make them skip their turn. So yeah, that is pretty much it in terms of prep. Choose a team, modify them to suit your box. You can always combine things like the free-to-play team with one of the summonable ones. It is always a possibility, but these are all my good picks. Units that I frequently use to build World Tournament teams, basically put into cohesive little kind of numbers together. In terms of support items, I don't really suggest using support items for World Tournaments. Not only are support memories, super expensive still, and we have limited resources of them, but it's just not really many are worth it. Like maybe you can use one that increases your damage, but it's very subjective and it's not really needed. If anything, use one that creates ki, because that's going to be one that's the most useful, as ki can always be a little bit of an issue, especially when you're operating under only 1 lead. So yeah, that's basically it for the prep. Just a couple of tips and tricks while you are doing your stages. So the highest tile that you choose goes last. So if you choose a tile that moves 6, then you are going to go last, and at that turn you will be the last unit to move. If you choose a tile that's a 1 or a 2, then you'll go first and you'll be the first unit to move. So all pretty good stuff there, nothing too crazy. Then if the stage icon, so if the World Tournament venue is broken in the stage and you pick up golden capsules, that means that you can pick up Master's Marks. So that's something that's also super helpful. Also, if you see blue items, generally try to pick those up. Those are going to be super helpful, as those generally are the good World Tournament items. So that does help to kind of refill your Ghost Usher section and everything like that. As you get later on in the event, you can get through to the second round by simply beating 1 enemy in the prelim stages and running around. It not only saves you support items, but it saves you a lot of hassle. If you are someone who likes to speedrun, then taking on those enemies is going to be a lot better. And then finally, generally speaking, in terms of how many stages do I do, so I generally do 30 world tournaments, like as my minimum, and then I see where I go from there. 30 world tournaments or 32 world tournaments generally gets me to the 24 million mark, which is what you need for the free copy of the world tournament unit, which I always like to get because it obviously helps me with reviewing the units if I have them. So that is something that's very helpful. But yeah, obviously guys, you go as far as you can. Don't burn yourself out. Don't go too ham or anything and end up like throwing yourself to the wayside. Just focus on essentially getting everything done. But yeah, that is pretty much it. So there's nothing else really too much to say. Obviously guys, good luck. If you need any more help, I do leave a link up to my world tournament guide in the top right hand corner at the beginning of the video. You can go and check it out. But yeah, that is basically it from me. Hope you guys have the best of luck for the world tournament. And yeah, if you guys need anything else or you have any more issues, leave a comment and I'll help you out. Until then, bye.